I want you to imagine something. Imagine planning your dream wedding for 14 months. The flowers. The dress. The venue. Every single detail perfect. Now imagine finding out, 3 weeks before your wedding day, that your fiancé had a secret. Not a small secret. Not something you could work through. A secret that had been living inside your relationship since the very beginning. And the person who finally told me the truth, was a complete stranger who called my phone by accident. My name is Sarah. I am 34 years old. I live in Denver, Colorado. And what I am about to tell you is the story of how I lost everything I thought I had, and found something so much better. Stay with me until the end. Because the final twist of this story, changed my life in a way I never saw coming. Let me take you back to the summer of 2021. I had just turned 31. I was living in Denver, working as a hospital administrator. My life was good but honestly kind of quiet. I had my work. My apartment. My dog Biscuit. My best friend Jenna who lived 2 streets away. I was not looking for anyone. That is always when it happens, right? I met Marcus at a coffee shop on a Tuesday morning. He spilled his coffee on my laptop bag. He was so genuinely horrified and apologetic that I actually laughed. He was 36. Tall. Calm in a way that felt rare. He worked in commercial real estate. Had his own company. No drama in his voice when he talked about his life. No red flags that I could see. We talked for 2 hours that first morning. He asked for my number before he left. He texted that same evening. Within 3 months we were inseparable. Marcus was the kind of man who remembered that I hated cilantro and always ordered my food without it. Who showed up with Advil and soup when I had a cold without me asking. Who called when he said he would call. After 2 years of dating he proposed on a hiking trail outside Denver at sunset. I said yes before he finished the sentence. My mother cried happy tears. Jenna screamed so loud my neighbors knocked on the wall. For 14 months I planned our wedding. April 14th. A venue outside Boulder with mountain views. 120 guests. My dress took 4 fittings to get right. Everything was perfect. Until the phone call. It was a Sunday afternoon in late January. 3 weeks and 2 days before my wedding. Marcus was out with his college friends watching football. I was at home going through final vendor confirmations for the wedding. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost did not answer. But I was expecting a call from the florist, so I picked up. A woman's voice. Confused. She said she was trying to reach someone named David. I told her she had the wrong number. She apologized. We both laughed a little. Those awkward wrong number moments. And then she said something strange. She said, "Wait, is this Marcus's phone? I have been trying to reach his partner." I froze. I said, "This is Marcus's fiancé." "Who is this?" Long pause. She said her name was Diane. She said she was calling from a pediatric clinic in Aurora, Colorado. She said, "I am so sorry. I must have the wrong contact saved. I was trying to reach the other number on file for the account." I said, "What account?" She said, "The patient account for Marcus and his wife. For their daughter's appointment next Thursday." The room went completely quiet. Not because she had stopped talking. But because everything inside me had stopped. I said, "I am sorry, can you say that again?" She repeated it. Marcus and his wife. Their daughter's appointment. I sat down on my kitchen floor. I did not even realize I had done it until Biscuit came and put his head in my lap. After I hung up, I sat on that kitchen floor for I do not know how long. Then something shifted inside me. A kind of cold clarity I had never felt before. I got up. Went to Marcus's home office. He kept his personal files in a cabinet in the corner. I had never gone through them before. I had never felt the need to. I felt the need now. Third drawer. A folder labeled simply, Documents. Inside that folder my hands found a marriage certificate. Marcus Allen Webb. And a woman named Diane Webb. Married in 2017. 4 years before I met him. I kept going through the folder. A lease agreement. An address in Aurora. Both their names on it. A photo. Printed out like people used to do. Marcus holding a baby girl. Smiling the same smile I thought was only for me. The baby looked about 2 years old in that photo. Which meant she had been born approximately 1 year after Marcus and I started dating. I put everything back exactly as I found it. Walked to my bedroom. Sat on the edge of the bed. And I thought very carefully about what I was going to do next. Because here is the thing about being a hospital administrator. You deal with crisis every single day. You learn that the worst thing you can do in a crisis is react without a plan. So I made a plan. I called Jenna. Told her to come over. Did not tell her why. When she arrived and I showed her the documents, she went through every emotion I had already processed in about 4 minutes flat. Then she looked at me and said, "What do you need?" I said, "I need a lawyer. Tonight if possible." She called her cousin Amy, who was a family law attorney in Denver. Amy answered on the second ring. She said, "Come over now." We went. Amy was sharp and calm and exactly what I needed in that moment. I laid out everything. The phone call. The documents. The photo. She asked me several questions. How long had we been together? Whether I had any joint financial accounts with Marcus. Whether my name was on any property with him. Then she asked, "Do you want to know everything before you confront him?" I said yes. Absolutely yes. She connected me with a private investigator named Rob. Said he was discreet and fast. I gave Rob everything I had. The address in Aurora. The wife's name. The business information. 72 hours later Rob called me. He said, "I have your information, but I need to warn you. There is more here than you expected." I said, "Tell me." Rob had found that Marcus was not just maintaining a secret marriage and family in Aurora. He had done this before. Rob had traced a pattern going back almost a decade. A woman in Phoenix. A woman in Salt Lake City. Both had dated Marcus for extended periods. Both had ultimately found out about other women. Both had quietly walked away. What made my situation different was that I was the only one he had actually proposed to. And here was the part that made my blood run cold. The house Marcus and I had started looking at together. The one we were supposed to put an offer on after the wedding. Marcus had already listed it as a potential asset on a loan application. A loan application that included Diane's name. He was planning to use our future home purchase as collateral for financing that his actual wife would benefit from. I was never going to be his wife. I was going to be his financial strategy. I sat with that for a long moment. Then I said to Amy, "How do we do this?" She smiled and said, "Very carefully. And very completely." Amy and I spent 2 weeks building everything out quietly. I kept my life with Marcus completely normal. Attended the final wedding venue walkthrough with him. Smiled at the catering tasting. Responded to his texts like nothing had changed. It was the hardest thing I have ever done. But I needed time. During those 2 weeks Amy uncovered something neither of us expected. Marcus's real estate company had received a significant investment from a group of private investors 2 years ago. One of those investors was a man named Gerald Park. Gerald was well connected in Denver's business community. Well respected. Gerald Park was also my father's college roommate. I had met Gerald at my parents' house growing up. He had come to my college graduation. He had sent Marcus and me a congratulations card when we got engaged. I had not made the connection because Marcus's company had a different name than the one I knew Gerald was connected to. A subsidiary. When I told my father what had happened and showed him the documents, he went very quiet. Then he made a phone call. I do not know exactly what was said on that call. What I do know is that within a week Gerald had requested a formal audit of Marcus's company finances. When investors request audits, companies have to comply. The audit revealed financial irregularities in how Marcus had been reporting certain property transactions. Things that his investors had not been told about. Things that had real legal implications. Suddenly Marcus was not just a man with a secret family. He was a man with a serious business problem landing on him from a direction he never anticipated. And he had no idea any of it was coming. 10 days before the wedding I called Marcus. I told him I needed to talk to him that evening. That it was important. He came over at 7. I had set the kitchen table very deliberately, 2 chairs. 2 glasses of water. And in the center of the table, a single manila folder. He sat down. Looked at the folder. Looked at me. I said, "Open it." Inside was a copy of his marriage certificate. The lease from Aurora. The photo of him holding his daughter. And a 1-page summary Amy had prepared of the financial findings. He did not say anything for a very long time. Then he started to explain. Said the marriage was basically over. Said Diane knew about me. Said it was complicated. I let him finish. Then I slid one more document across the table. The wedding cancellation notice. Already drafted. Venue, caterers, photographer, florist. All notified as of that morning. He looked up. I said, "I have already spoken to a lawyer. I have already spoken to your investors. I have already contacted Diane, who by the way did not know about me and has her own lawyer now." I stood up. I said, "The only thing I want from you is for you to leave my apartment and never contact me again." He sat there. I opened the front door. He left. I closed the door. Leaned my back against it. And for the first time in 3 weeks, I exhaled. Here is the part of the story I did not expect. 6 months after everything fell apart I was doing genuinely well. New apartment. Biscuit was thriving. Work was good. I had started therapy, which I cannot recommend enough. Jenna took me to a friend's birthday dinner in late October. Low-key. Small group. I almost did not go. At that dinner I sat next to a man named Thomas. Thomas was quiet. Thoughtful. Asked good questions. Listened when I answered. Did not talk over anyone. At the end of the night he asked if he could have my number. I almost said no. Not because of him. Just because of everything I had been through. But Jenna kicked me under the table. So I said yes. Thomas and I went for coffee the following Saturday. On our 3rd date I told him what had happened with Marcus. All of it. I wanted to be upfront. I did not want any more surprises in my life. He listened to the whole thing without interrupting. Then he said, "Thank you for trusting me with that. That took courage." That was it. No dramatic reaction. No making it about himself. Just acknowledgement. 8 months later, Thomas and I are still together. No secrets. No wrong number phone calls. No folders in filing cabinets. Just two people who communicate like actual adults. And Biscuit loves him. Which honestly was the deciding factor. Here is what I want to leave you with. I spent 14 months planning a wedding to a man who was never really mine. But that wrong number phone call from a woman trying to reach a pediatric clinic, that was the best call I ever received. Because it gave me back my own life. And it turned out my own life was so much better than the one I had been planning. You do not always get to choose what breaks you open. But you do get to choose what you build after. So that is Sarah's story. The wrong number. The secret family. The investors, the father's old friend. And the dog who approved of the new guy. What would you have done in her position? Would you have confronted Marcus immediately or done what Sarah did and built the case first? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one and I respond to as many as I can. If this story got you through your commute or your workout or your late night tonight, please hit subscribe because new stories drop every single week. And next week we have a story from a woman in Nashville who discovered her business partner of 6 years had been stealing from their company and using the money to fund an entirely separate life. The way she caught him involves a receipt for a storage unit and a very unfortunate GPS tracker. See you next video.